And I just realized my mic was on mute. Hi! It's been one of those kind of days. Thanks for showing up, everybody. I appreciate you all being here with me. Have a little chat, a little spiritual talk, a little supernatural talk. I just appreciate all of you coming. I really do. So this evening, I wanted to kind of dive into a little bit about how we talk about the word psychic and what it is to be psychic. Um, so before I get into that completely, I thought I would go ahead and kind of set the tone for all of us. Again, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening. I hope you're all staying warm out there. It's been insanely cold here. As a matter of fact, we just had another storm roll in this afternoon. So if I end up ending a little bit early, I hope you'll all forgive me for that. Um, it's kind of hitting me. My body feels it for sure. But so I've got my little smudge pot here. I'm gonna actually I think this week I'm gonna do sage. I think really need some good clearing energy here. Been a little bit fog brained today too, and that tends to come when the weather systems move through. So that this will help kind of ground my energy so that maybe I can give you good messages this evening. So a little bit for me, a little bit for each and every one of you. Now, do remember if you have any questions, let Ghost Dragon know by putting them all in caps, and he will pop them up on the screen so that I can read them easily. If I'm in a train of thought, he's going to leave them posted for me so that as soon as I'm able to, I can come back and I can answer them as we go. Uh, for me, that just, I find it more comfortable just to keep the conversation flowing that way. Of, you know, if you have a question in that moment about what I'm talking about, um, then that way I can answer it right away. If you have other questions that maybe aren't about what I'm talking about, um, he will pop those up for me, and I may have him take them, hold them for a little bit, and then come back to them. So, with that said, I'm going to light our candle, and today's the full moon, the first full moon of the year, and full moon is about manifestation. About bringing in what's possible. And so I thought for this stream, for this first full moon of 2024, that when I light our candle, that it would be about manifestation of what is for each of our greatest good. So whether it be health or companionship, a new job, I thought that that would be the focus of our candle for tonight. So I'm going to light our candle and ask my guides, my guardians, and ask for all of your guides and your guardians to step forward and help us find that which we need to manifest in our lives and bring it forward in a positive way, whether that's knowledge, whether that's companionship, a new job, a new home, help us manifest all of those things that we need for this year in a positive way. So this evening, I actually had the pleasure last Thursday to go on with Bigfoot Michigan Rob and do an interview. It was actually my first time getting to talk to Rob face to face, so to speak, thanks to the internet. And it was a wonderful discussion. We talked about a little bit of everything, including some of his personal experiences, some of my personal experiences, yeah, and what it's like to be a psychic. And the thought had occurred to me that there are still a lot of folks out there that when they hear the words, you're a psychic, they have a preconceived notion of what it means to be a psychic. Because half the time, the first thing out of their mouths is, oh, tell me what I'm thinking. Or, can you tell me the Powerball numbers? Right? And in class last week, I was talking a little bit with Sarah and had mentioned how this last year and a half has really opened up my eyes even more to what it means to be psychic, to be a medium. That I had always thought to be a medium that you had to see them with your physical eyes. And that's not the case. That you can be what's known as an evidentiary medium, like myself, um, and never actually see them with your physical eyes, but you see them with your inner eye, your third eye, inner sight. And so, it kind of got me thinking, where's my notebook? That there, those of us that do understand these things, unfortunately, it kind of falls on our shoulders to help the general population understand these things in a way that's easy and relatable. And so, like, um, intuition, clear cognizance. And I talk about clear cognizance, that means clear knowing. Okay. I am primarily a claircog or a knower, as Sarah calls us. And it's that feeling of I just know. You know, you go to um put something together, right? And you can look at all the parts and see how it goes from beginning to end to create the final piece. And I'm not talking about those of you out there that don't read the instructions when you get something and probably should, but there are those who can see something from its inception to its fruition with clarity. And those are the claircogs. Those are the clear knowers. And there's a lot of us out there in this community that do this and don't even realize. Um, with the same aspect, your clairvoyance doesn't just mean seeing the future. it means clear seeing. And a clairvoyant also being one of my main abilities, I find tends to manifest in people in a way that you tend to think three-dimensionally is a good example. And I find this a lot with artists, and it can even be musicians as artists, people who are sculptors and painters and so on, or people who work with their hands and build things from concept. And you can say, for instance, if I were to give a lesson plan for an art project, and I said, okay, I want you to draw me a tree house, but then you're going to take that and you're going to create a 3D sculpture. In your mind's eye, as a clairvoyant or somebody who's a clear seer, you would be able to kind of create that 3D picture of, okay, this is what it's going to look like from the front. This is what it will look like if I turn it around to the back, or underneath and the sides. And so you tend to think three-dimensionally. And one can be clairvoyant again without the physical sight. Okay. There are those clairvoyants that will say, it's like everything around me just changed. And I was suddenly standing in X place. And this is what I saw. Then, like myself, again, it's all inner sight. It's, or it's with dreams. I will tend to have precognitive dreams, clairvoyant dreams that I will see everything in a three-dimensional way, and in a very vivid way that when I wake up, I can actually describe to you the people, the places, the sounds, the smells, um, from whatever direction I would be looking. So with that, it psychic doesn't necessarily mean telepathic. Also, you'll get a lot. Again, they'll go, "Oh, you're psychic. You can you read my mind? Can you tell me what I'm thinking?" Right? While telepathy is a psychic ability, psychic doesn't necessarily equate to telepathic. And telepathia, it's mind speak. Okay. So that's where, like, for instance, you do hear certain people talking about being able to mind speak with Bigfoot. It's telepathy, telepathia. That ability to communicate from my thought to your thought and vice versa. And there's a lot of different theories on how that occurs. Um, to me, what seems to make the most sense is considering the fact that our brain's actual function can be measured in brain waves, and those waves are waves of energy that are emitted, literally emitted from our brain. And that with each individual, we can come into a harmonic resonance, if you will, with another person, where our brain waves become in sync with each other, and therefore we're able to communicate with each other. Um, Again, with being a psychic, I find, especially as someone who is clairsentient, um, clear feeler, also known as an empath, that we can sense the energies of everything around us, so much so that when we go out in crowded places, we get really overwhelmed. There are those that can literally walk into a space and say, I can feel the weight of the room, the energy of the room change as a physical sensation. And then there are those that will describe it as it's a vibe. It's all of a sudden I feel anxious, I feel nervous, or I feel sad. And as someone who has had a lot of issues with that since childhood, you walk into the room and your personal energetic bubble all of a sudden feels like it's being squished in from all sides. Um, it's a strange feeling. It's a very strange feeling that can be very overwhelming. Um, with practice, you can learn to overcome it. Like I can go to crowded places and do things and enjoy myself, but I also do tend to have to come back and take quiet time and sort of recharge my batteries, if you will, because it does take a lot of energy to kind of keep those boundaries up in a way that I can still enjoy things um, for the moment, wherever I'm going. So let's see, what do we got? Vixen, people can describe something and I can see it as clearly in my mind's eye. So what is that called? So that is like my main gift. That would be claircognizant, and it's COGNISANT, claircognizant, or clear knowing, and that's exactly the way I deal with it. So, for instance, the couple of reads that I've done um, with Blue Process, we'll set up we'll talk about a situation, and it, I can clearly see in my mind's eye details about that situation without quote unquote knowing the whole situation. Okay. Um, so, so yeah, Dixon, that's, you know, and that's one of those things that there's a number of us that agree on, that it kind of goes back and forth between clear cognizance or clear knowing, because you know what this place looks like. You just know. Okay. Um, and clairvoyance and the clear seeing, because you do see that mental image of, okay, there's a sidewalk and it goes down and to the right, and there's big leafy trees and small rose bushes and so on and so forth. So you're seeing with your inner sight, but you also just know that that's the way this is. So I hope that answers the question. Um, let's see, what else did I want to cover? Trust your instincts. So there's a reason they call it a gut instinct. Okay, that's your inner knowing. Um, it may be that I need to wait 5 minutes before I leave the house. I don't know why. I just feel like I can't leave just yet. And then you get out, you get in your car, you get ready to leave. You realize if you'd left 5 minutes sooner, you would have gotten a car wreck, right? Um, or you're in school and there's going to be, you just feel like I should look back over this material right before class. I just get this feeling. And you get into class and there's a pop quiz on the chapter that you just went back over, right? So pay attention to that gut instinct. Mothers have it in spades, that knowing when your kid's been up to something that they shouldn't have been. They're hiding something, right? The mom knowing. So that is a natural thing that we tend to whitewash into, oh, I kind of get a gut feeling. Go with your gut, okay? Pay attention to that. Write it down. Journal it. Keep a notebook because you'll go back later. The more you do that, the more you can see where, oh, hey, I had a gut feeling that um, something was off with my girlfriend. And then you find out later that, yeah, she just got a bad phone call saying somebody passed away or that sort of thing. And how often does that happen as well? That we get that without quote unquote spirit visitation, without that um, being in the presence um, when it happens, knowing that somebody's sick or somebody just passed away, and then we get the phone call or whatever, and find out that yeah, we were right? Um, I think a lot of times we allow uncertainty to steer us away from that trust and trusting ourselves. Self-doubt. I don't know if I'm using the right phrase, but I think some folks have called it imposter syndrome, where it's like, I don't know, maybe like I don't know if I'm right. I'm nervous. Um, I'm guilty of that. Absolutely, I'm guilty of that. So being able to validate each other too is really important when it comes to being psychic and understanding, you know, all the different ways that we can be psychic. Um, my girlfriend and I, that she's just as open as I am. So it comes in handy when I can send her a message and say, hey, I just kind of got the feeling that maybe things are going bad today and I wanted to check in on you and what's going on. And yeah, literally I'll see the little bubble because she's texting me at the same time going, "Oh my, I you will not believe the kind of day I've had," to tell me that she's had XYZ happen. So being able to validate each other, I think that is something that is very important uh, to help get rid of that self-doubt. Just find somebody you trust. Find somebody that makes you feel comfortable uh, to practice with. Make this, I want to try to make this about the paranormal just being the normal. Okay. because as we as individuals, as we as a society, as we as a planet continue to change and evolve and grow, we learn more every day about the workings of the cosmos that yesterday might have been considered paranormal, might have been considered supernatural, right? So I think if we take the time to try to help each other understand these things, support each other in allowing ourselves to be comfortable with those abilities that we naturally have, um, I just think that's where we need to go with this. I really do. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple of little crystals that I thought would be good for this evening with the full moon and so on. And then I'm going to pull a card for the collective. And then I'm going to call it an early stream just because I can, and you can probably tell because my voice, I know I tend to get quieter and um, I talk softer. And I think part of that has to do with my rib cage. So Mark says something here. Let's see what he's got. So let me describe what happened today. I felt a strong emotion that I associate with a particular topic. I checked my mind's eye and saw his face to confirm that it was who I thought it was. And what was it? Okay, so are you asking me what was it? So I'll give you a moment there to answer. Um, okay, so I don't want to leave dead air while I wait for you to answer there. And I am going to talk to you about green adventuring and citrine. Now, I know I've covered both of these before. Okay. Green adventuring is the stone of growth. Whatever it touches flourishes, activates your heart chakra, opening your heart to receive blessings. Green adventuring helps you manifest more abundance in love, money, work, and creative projects. It encourages prosperity, inspires new ideas, and brings good fortune of all kinds. So that's the card for this evening. And I've got my little piece of green adventuring here that I'm going to place next to our candle for this evening. And then with citrine, I know we've done citrine a couple of times before. Citrine is a solar plexus chakra stone that offers mental clarity, attracts prosperity, and it's a powerful stone of manifestation, money magic, and the perfect tool to work with for all things abundance. So for our abundance, I thought citrine would be quite appropriate, and I'm going to place that next to our candle. So with Mark and what happened today, why don't you actually touch me? How would I describe it? Okay, so with that, what you're doing is you are going into your inner sight, okay, your clairvoyance, and doing the equivalent of a read on that energy, on that being, on that person. That could be anything from a sister to a guardian, so on. And so you are focusing your ideas, your thoughts around, okay, who is this? What is this person? What is the inner vision that I get of that person? And what kind of person, what information can I gather about that person? So again, that is more clairvoyant, clear seeing, but also clear knowing because you know what that person is like. Does that make sense? I hope. Again, with that, you can also message me and we can dig into that a little bit deeper. Um, tomorrow we could even talk about that if you'd like, Mark. But I hope that helps answer that question. So I'm going to pull a card for the collective unless somebody else has a question. And Mark, if you have any other questions or comments, just type them in chat and Stephen will bring it up for me. I thought tonight I'd pull from the Spirit of the Animals Oracle. And with Spirit of the Animals Oracle, each of them does have a little bit of a message with the card that, would be down here on the bottom. I tend to work more off of the imagery, but I may pull information, clear knowing, from what's below. So I'm going to just ask the guides and the guardians to step forward and help me pull a card for our gemstones, for the collective, for what they need to know, the energies they should look out for over the next few weeks until I'm back on stream, and see what pops out. All right. I'm hearing 3. 1, 2, 3. And that top card would be the Penguin, authentic. And so let me hold up the card for you here so you can see that. It's a really pretty card. I just love the penguins. Now, with the way I read the card, yes, the title is authentic. But the first thing that strikes me is family. And how then do we need to be authentic with that family and with our expectations of that family? Do we expect to have a protector, a nurturer, a child? What are our expectations? With a family of penguins, they only have one way to be, so to speak. They're penguins. They both have equal shares in their life's journey. They take turns watching over and keeping their eggs warm to nurture that family, to be authentic in their life's journey. How are you being authentic to yourself in your journey? In a lot of ways, I wonder about that for myself. Is what I'm doing, am I being authentic? Am I being authentic for you? When I sit down to do these streams, a lot of the information and the way that I impart it is channeled. And so I actually have to go back and I have to watch it because I don't, like Gemma, I don't know half of what I just said. And while that is still authentic to me, any of you that know me through the other chats and some of the other streams that I've done, um, I am a pixie. I am mischievous. If it were not a big no-no, um, I'm the kind of person that tends to cuss like an old sailor. Okay. So in that way, I'm not being authentic to myself. And not saying the first words that want to come to my mind. So I tend to hesitate before I speak out and say shoot instead of something else. So how are you being authentic to yourself? Take that with you for the next couple of weeks. Think on that. Maybe even journal on that. And how can you be more authentic to yourself? Okay. Um, with that said, I know it's a little early and I apologize for that. It's just been one of those days and I'm okay with that. You know, it's part of my journey. Some days are going to be better than others and that always changes. So, next day it'll be better. I'm not too worried. I want to ask all of you that if you haven't, go out there. Um, Gemma not only has her most latest book, um, Encounters with Evil, the Black-Eyed Children. She's got two more. Okay, I haven't even had a chance to get on Amazon and order them myself. It's on the list for the weekend. But if you can, go out there, buy her books, read them. This one I have enjoyed so much so far. So when you get done with it, go on there and put a review. Let, excuse me, let Amazon know what you think of it. It helps her ratings. It helps actually also push the algorithm to help more people get hers suggested and so on. So please do that for our sweet Gemma. Um, Ghost Dragons is going to be on tomorrow night. Gemma's going to be on Saturday. Is that right? Just type me a yes or a no. Um, anyway, again, you can see my brain is starting to just misfire, and I apologize so much, but I know you all understand very much. So I'm going to say goodnight, sending you all love and light, and you'll see me in the chat, and we'll see you next time. I love you all. Good night, and take care.